Shalom Yerushalayim Zeu Shari Rashechem
Shalom, everyone, and nearly Shabbat Shalom. Today is Friday. Today is the third day of the Hebrew month of Tevet. Today is December the 15th. And this coming Shabbat, we will read the third portion from the end of Genesis already, the portion which starts on chapter 41. And actually, in actual fact, when we read this portion, we understand that we are actually in a sequence of three portions which basically tell one story. We started last week with the brothers of Joseph throwing him into the pit. Joseph is being sold to Egypt in everything that he goes through there. And we know what happened. You know, we talked last week about Jacob in his mourning, and the brothers, and Judah meeting with Tamar, departing from his brethren. The picture seems very, very gloomy. And in actual fact, we see that there is one thing that really gives us hope in the sense of everything which is going on, and that thing is confession. When Judah departed from his brothers and he met with the Canaanite woman, and in the end he had three children with her, he ended up meeting with Tamar. And after the whole encounter between Judah and Tamar, and we all know what happened there, in the end, Judah said, Tamar is more righteous than I am. Judah confesses. Tamar gave him the option whether he was going to confess or not. She only said that the person who owns these objects, he is the father of my baby. And then Judah said, she is more righteous than I am. Judah confessed the whole thing. He didn't just confess, being with her and being the father of the children, but he also confessed about the fact that he didn't really intend of letting his third son to marry her. And he gives a full confession. He demonstrates leadership for the first time. We see a leader in action, taking responsibility for his actions. In our portion, we see something similar with Joseph. We see Joseph meeting two ministers at the end of last week's portion. We see Joseph meeting with two of Pharaoh's ministers, and they are in prison. Both of them, they have dreams. Joseph was able to solve those dreams, and in the end, he ended up standing before Pharaoh to solve Pharaoh's dreams. When Pharaoh met with Joseph, and Pharaoh was the most powerful man in the world, Pharaoh said to Joseph, I heard that you have the ability to solve dreams, and that's in front of all the people in the palace. And Joseph, at that point, Joseph is saying, I didn't do it. Without me, it's not up to me. God will give an answer to Pharaoh. Joseph confesses him only being a vessel, a channel of communication for a message that the Lord is giving him. It wasn't about him. It wasn't about Joseph. It was about God. And Joseph is taking a very high risk to teach that lesson to Pharaoh and to all those people in the palace. Later, when Joseph becomes a king, and his brothers are standing before him, and the plot begins to get complicated, it's at one point the brothers are speaking between themselves when they understand that they are caught in a trouble, and they said, we are guilty. We are guilty. We are the ones to blame because we did not hear the cry of our brother. And so the brothers also confess their sin, throwing their other brother to the pit about 20 years before. And they take responsibility for that, and they say, we are in this plot because of something that we've done. They're not looking for others to blame. They take full responsibility for their actions between themselves as an act of confession. Confession in Hebrew is actually the same word like to give thanks, and that's the word lehodot. To give thanks and to confess both require a clear observation about reality, about life. And that's something, in light of current events, of everything which is happening right now in this country, in Israel, with the war, we hear the talk. We hear people talk. We hear people want they want the leaders to take responsibility and all of that. But in actual fact, we all have to ask ourselves, what is my part in this? What is my part in everything in this in the current situation that my country is in, that my people is in? Even more than that, maybe I also need to ask myself, what is my responsibility in things happening in the world? Not necessarily with the Jewish people. There is some kind of a natural disaster happening somewhere. What is my part in this? What have I done to prevent it or not to prevent it? How can I take responsibility for this creation which I was placed in, to rule over it and to have dominion in it? We are all responsible all the time. That's the beauty of living in spirituality. We are all connected. It's all one organism, and that comes with a huge responsibility, of course. May we live to acknowledge that responsibility and live in that responsibility, and to be able to confess and bring light to the world. Shabbat Shalom. you.